la voz de LA. It's la cuna galaxiana, come and kick it with us. I bring the bossa nova beats and talk the club that we love. Another year to adjust, and Will Kuntz we all trust. 6 titles in the cabin, tell a hater shut up. Mirar al horizonte con el cielo morado. Llegamos al estadio como siempre lo hago. Es la nueva temporada, ya cumplí 30 años. Rezándole a San Pequi que no dé al travesaño. Que repartan los balones y no sean tacaños. Que regrese el contraataque y que le hagamos daño. Un saludo para Robert, hermanos ecuatorianos. Que la táctica de Ananda nunca sean en vano. Si se trata de mi gala me levanto temprano. Ver el fur en verano, en el pasto tumbado. Siempre estoy a tu lado, en cualquier resultado. Vamos Galaxy, on top is where I gotta be. Chilling in the canopy, staging like a winery. Goles during rivalries, brew from the refinery. Only want the finer things, we letting you know. Lo que pasa en la galaxia, ready, let's start the show.
Hello, hola, and buenas, and welcome back to another episode of La Cuna Galaxiana, a podcast always made with love for all you LA Galaxy fans out there, and all you soccer fans in general. You know you have a home here as well. On today's episode, the LA Galaxy bounced back from their only preseason defeat so far in a big way, as they dispatched St. Louis City 3-0 on Wednesday, February 11th, at their last publicly viewable match of the CVI behind a strong showing from the team's depth pieces and youth. We'll be joined by national MLS writer and editor Charles Boehm to take a look at which players did themselves favors, how a Galaxy B team stacks up, which players stood out, how the Galaxy achieved another shutout, and if the team looks ready for their ever-impending upcoming season. Plus, Sportico valuations are out, and the leader of the pack will surprise absolutely no one. All of that and more coming up on tonight's episode of La Cuna Galaxiana. But before we go any further, let me introduce myself. I'm one of your combo co-hosts, Rob Halon, and you can find my written work at the Sporting Tribune. Shout out Sporting Tribune staff. And you can find me online at El Escudero de LA, just like the screen says, y'all. And since I'm here, tú sabes that my co-host is here as well as usual. El yerno guapo, el gitano perdido, y el papito de natita, Anandita Kirana. Hey, man, we are ever so much closer to the start. And positive signs out of the last game, no?
Yeah, positive signs. I mean, we're going to talk about it later this show with Charles, but I mean, you were there, boots on the ground as well. So I'm hoping that you saw the same thing I saw that I caught on replay. Just watched a little bit of the game, actually caught up on the second half just a moment ago. And yeah, it was super interesting. I even noticed some tactical things that we might talk about, but excuse me, guys. But yeah,
it gets you emotional. Gets you emotional that the season's about to start, right? Yeah, man.
I struggle with weather changes, by the way. I'm like, I'm just absolutely beat and stocking up on my fluids. So today's choice is pressed juicery, strawberry, orange, and mango wellness smoothie.
And they need to give us a sponsorship now that you're doing some product placement from Message. Yeah, man. Well, I want to say thank you to all the folks that are always chilling with us. Man, it is so good to be here with you guys because we're so close to the start of the season. Champions Cup, league matches, it's all coming fast and furious. And if you're with us, we hope to give you everything you need to know ahead of the season. If you're with us, you're probably one of the almost 800 subscribers that have been showing with us. And if you're not, go ahead and subscribe. What's holding you back? We are only, I think, like 15 away, Ananda, 14, 15 away from 800. So, go ahead and tell all your loved ones. And also tell all your loved ones that Super Chats are now available. If you want to get something off your chest, if you want to ask Ananda something deep and personal, his philosophies on life, does he think there's intelligent life out there? You can go ahead and drop a Super Chat. And you can ask him if you want to drop a Super Chat and, you just want to go ahead and comment on the state of the team of what you've seen so far. You can do that too. Anyway, we do have folks that occasionally watch on X and Instagram. And we want to say, first off, thanks. But I think you will find the experience a lot more enjoyable if you jump on over to YouTube and hang out with us over there. Ananda, do you have anything else to add before we get into it?
Yeah, that you can always follow me, block me, or stalk me at Ananda Galaxiana is my handle on all your favorite socials. And our social handle for the podcast is at Lacuna Galaxiana, the name of the show. Pretty simple there. What else? You talked about the likes. And by the way, I did talk about the hype thing, this little hype feature now on YouTube. You know, someone asked us in the comment section the other day, like, hey, I can't find the hype button. So if you're on your phone and you're watching the video or listening to it or whatever, you're at the gym or you're in the car, etc. Maybe not in the car. That's never mind. Safety first. So you go to the comment section, you scroll right, and there you will find this thing called the hype, and you can hype with like points and stuff. It's kind of like the like video, but you know, it's fun. It's fun just to kind of show us some love and be our hype men and women out there. So there you go. Go ahead and do that, guys. That would be lovely. And what else, Rob? I guess nothing else, no? So if nothing else, then como siempre, antes de olvidarme, buenos días, tardes o noches, y bienvenidos a otro capítulo de La Cuna Galaxiana. Papá, 1 week till the start. Official game that actually means something.
Yeah, I'm pumped, man. I'm amped. I was like this the last show as well, if you can remember. Maybe it's because I've just been getting so hyped at the beginning of the show, you know, to appreciating that intro track, appreciating it because very soon we are flipping over to Versión Season 4, and you know who it is. It's going to be Arquitecto Verbal again, giving us that track. Speaking of Big Arc, we want you to know that Big Arc is going to be out doing a show, and not only should you support Arquitecto Verbal, but you support live music in general. But he's going to be with the fellow G, Pacheco Bates. They're going to be throwing down on March 6th at 9 p.m. The address is 419 East 11th Street. Hit up Big Arquitecto Verbal for more information, more details, how to get tickets, you know, just in general, show them some love. And, you know, in general, show this man some love too. A lot of people have read his articles, read his content. Matt Doyle, Ananda, was fired after 15 years. I believe this was either happened today or yesterday. Like, it's just very fresh, crazy, right? And, yeah, and you know, it's crazy that this league wants to, you know, grow, you know, that, but it's, you know, they're letting go of talent like Matt Doyle. And like I said, a lot of us read a bunch of his articles. All I can say is shout out to him and sub to the tactics free zone that he has at the moment. Really quick, I want to go back to that flyer with Big Arquitecto. He looks pretty hard on that one, and the homie Pacheco Bates is on that one as well. So like I said, go ahead and hit him up for more information. But yeah, Ananda, this is disappointing, man. I mean, a lot of folks in the industry that you know we've talked to here on the show hold Matt Doyle in high regard. You know, I mean, I hold him in high regard. Great articles, up to and including, you know, just one that we'll reference later. But yeah, show him some love. Go ahead and sub to the Tactics Free Zone, and you know, stay caught up on everything in the league. All right, G's called up. Juan Carlos Martinez and Ikena Chidebe have been named to the 24-player roster for the U.S. U16 boys national team domestic training camp that will be held February 11th through 18th in Georgia. Congratulations to those boys. Happy birthday as well to Mauricio Cienfuegos. Is that right, Ananda?
Yeah, that's today, man.
Oh,
February
man,
12th.
I missed this one. Man, I missed this one. Perdón, Cien. Jesus. And to boot, this man actually like came out, like I've said a bunch of times, and you know, hung out with my little soccer tykes, my U10s.
Yeah, man of
Shout
the
out
people,
to him.
man.
Yeah, no, shout out to him. People have asked, you know, who deserves the next statue. A lot of these accolades wouldn't happen without Cien. So for me, it's him. Happy birthday. Hopefully he was surrounded by friends and family. Gabriel Peck, happy birthday. His birthday was on February 11th, which was yesterday at the time of this recording. And Mauricio Cuevas was February 10th. Happy birthday to all those G's, past and present. Hopefully they were surrounded by friends and family. I think they were actually in the desert, so I'm not sure if they did have family around, but they did have friends around because they had their teammates. Hopefully they're bonding. We've already said it a bunch of times. 10 days to the home opener, y'all. First game on the 22nd. It's starting to get real. And since it's starting to get real, there is a real exclusive T-shirt called The Beautiful Game in collaboration with Jeff Cole. The Galaxy got together with Jeff and put out this stunning T-shirt. You can get it through a special ticket link at lagalaxy.com. Go ahead and search that one out. And then the home opener will also see the debut of the new Velocity kit that dropped at the CVI on Wednesday. And, you know, I had already kind of commented on this one, but I didn't really enjoy. I don't really enjoy it that much still. I just don't like the fact that the sash is so separated on it. It's just, I mean, I get it. It's because of the sponsor, but far be it for me to care about the placement of an MLM. So, that's just facts. But yeah, man, I mean, I would have liked to have seen a sash all the way through, but beggars cannot be. So a lot of people like this one. A lot of people said that when they saw it in person, they liked it a lot more. I, however, did not. But
yeah, I haven't even seen. I haven't seen it in person, but I'm a fan, Rob. I'm warming up to it for sure. Yeah, I like it. I like it. Let's put it this way. I like it more than Angelino kit. I'll tell you that much.
Well, you know how it is. At some point, like a year and a half from now, it'll be on sale at the Citadel, and wifey will probably pick it up for me, and then and then I'll just sit in my closet because I can't wear it anyway. But anyway, I saw a lot of people buy it, and a lot of people picked it up, so there is that. So good on them, and it looked good on them. So good on you, G's. Guys, we've already called this one out a couple times. You guys know I love doggies, and they deserve their place at the pitch as well. That's why the Galaxy have done Pups at the Pitch again this year. That's running $35, and you have 4 opportunities this year to bring your 4-legged friend out on March 14th, on May 23rd, which is Star Wars night, on August 1st, and on September 12th, which is Harry Potter night. Kobe and Natita have already decided they're joining Gryffindor. So we got to go ahead and get them their little robes and their little wands and stuff like that, and take them to Harry Potter night. Happy 7-year anniversary coming up to the Outlaws. I think it's in 3 days, I believe. They're having the Outlaws kickball tournament on Sunday, February 15th. So I'm not sure if the actual 7-year anniversary falls on that date, but they're celebrating that day. Good on them. Congratulations. That event's running from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Food, drinks, and fun. Hit them up for more information on where to go for that. Locura at the Lab is happening as well the night before the home opener. This is the home opener Eve Rally on Saturday, February 21st from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. at the Graph Lab at 1038 Venice Boulevard. You'll have all your supporter groups that are over there on 121 side. Outlaws, Galaxians, and ACB, all G's are welcome. And the ACB is also going to be throwing a hardcore show the next day in the pregame. Barrio Slam, Cienfuegos, and Bastos will be there in lot 13, getting down there. Lars will also be doing their pregame. Their flyer says just simply beer, voices, and hands, which is, pretty essential. Live bands are going to be there as well, starting at 4 p.m. And I should tell you, supporter groups memberships are open right now. And before that all kicks off, the team does have one last CVI closed door match against Real Salt Lake on Friday, February 13th. And that's just days ahead of Sporting San Miguelito on Thursday, February 19th in Panama. Of course, the return leg on Wednesday, February 25th at the Digs. You can catch that first leg at Absolution Brew at 5 p.m. It's going to be a tap room takeover. Really quickly, we want to give a shout out to the LA Galaxy Unified. They're having their tryouts on Monday, February 16th at 9 a.m. That's open to new and returning Special Olympic athletes. And I think now, Ananda, we should get to the reason we're really all here. I mean, I know they're not here for us. So, we should get to the talent, basically.
Remember when you started the show and you opened if you wanted to ask Anand about a question about is there intelligent life out there? Well, there's two non-intelligent folks talking about LA Galaxy.
True.
Let's bring someone on who's a little more intelligent. Let's do that.
Yeah, let's bring someone on that knows ball, actually.
Yeah.
So please welcome to the show for the very first time. He is a national writer and editor for MLS and has been covering the league for over 2 decades. Please welcome to La Cuna Galaxiana, Mr. Charles Boehm.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for making me feel real old there with that intro. That's
no, man. That's a mark of your experience. That's the mark of you being the good wine, right there, man. That's like you're the good wine right there, man. You're the wine everybody wants.
I'll take it. Thank you.
Yeah, well, welcome.
Welcome.
I told Ananda last year that when we hooked up at the CVI that I was trying to get you to come on and just didn't work because you stay on the East Coast. Obviously, there's that time difference, and you got to sleep. Which is it's perfectly understandable. So I'm happy we crossed paths again at the CVI. It's fortunate for me. But tell me, what kind of just access we get at the CVI? It's kind of unprecedented. It's kind of like no other time of the season. You just see players walking around, GMs walking around. Can you share with us any juicy news or chisme that you have learned while at the CVI this year?
So I've done the last few years. I've made a habit of doing preseason visits to MLS teams, but I've mostly been in Florida just because that's closer and more manageable. But I ends up driving around a lot, kind of back and forth across that state. This is my first time out to CVI, and it's been really fantastic. I mean, just the game days in and of themselves. There's lots of chances to kind of wander and catch a bunch of different teams and get a look at different teams in different scenarios, and then chat up various people, agents, coaches, CSOs, and so forth. And then I'm fortunate that I've been able to schedule a little bit more stuff with a few of the teams that are here today and tomorrow. And lucky for you guys, hopefully, I'm fresh off of a couple of 1v1s with Greg Vanney and Will Kuntz this afternoon at the Galaxy Hotel. So hopefully I can bring some value here. It was very interesting to watch the kid-heavy Galaxy play yesterday, and then get a little bit of context on that from talking to Vanney and Kuntz. So yeah, it's a fantastic event. I would say it seems like a fantastic opportunity for fans as well, and the Galaxy Nation has been well represented here. I heard they were even louder on Saturday than they were yesterday, but definitely the biggest fan base. A lot of Galaxy fans have made the drive up here into the desert, and I get it. I understand the hype. Not only the event, but the region it's gorgeous. I'm hoping to come back soon.
Yeah, we hope to have you back here in California soon. I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, it's kind of crazy to just look to the right and see James Rodriguez walking by, and you're just like, man, that guy has 55 million followers on Instagram. He's just kind of walking around here in the desert, and people are like, James, photo, and yeah, he was like, yeah, sure, he's a really nice guy, by the way. But he's obviously drawn a lot of the headlines in the off season. But is he your biggest off season transfer? Do you think that's the one that moves the needle the most?
That's an interesting question, because I think we have to talk about reputation on the one hand and fame. In that sense, he definitely is. And the fact that it's such a kind of random, fast developing, out of left field destination. The question really, though, is at this point, he's 34. People kind of behind the scenes stuff I'm hearing is that he was in talks with multiple teams, And the real doubt is like, what does he have left in the tank? And sort of the scuttlebutt is that if you look at the physical data that teams and people adjacent to teams have looked at, it's that it's not great, right? And I think I believe it was Felipe Cardenas in The Athletic. I think he may have shared a byline with Tom Bogert on this. There's a little bit of concern about is this the James that we all know and love and associate with the World Cup exploits? Can he produce that at this stage, and can he catch up to speed so quickly in this very kind of short-term situation with Minnesota? I don't know that he's, being necessarily, it's a lot of pressure. It's a tough scenario for him to kind of figure all this out quickly. I mean, he's still not doing official team activities right now because he's waiting on his work visa. And from what I was told, that there's some fitness work left, to be done to get him up to any kind of match fitness. So I think it'll be a little while before we see him. But I mean, as far as plot lines and storylines and the stuff that people like us talk and think and write about, this is manna from heaven, man. This is fantastic, right? Why not give it a shot? I've kind of compared it to like a romance, right? This is like a random hookup that maybe will develop into something more. We'll see, but it's worth a shot.
Yeah, I mean, we could have some sparks, and it would be just like James to surprise us and actually become a hit there in Minnesota. I mean, he did say, it actually fuels me having all these people doubt my motivations for coming here. So good on him and good luck to him. Charles, normally we would have, talked about this before you jumped on. Normally we do some news items and stuff like that, but I actually wanted to wait and talk about this one with you. I wanted to get your take on this. I don't know if you saw the Sportico valuations for, MLS teams, but Inter Miami is now Major League Soccer's most valuable team at $1.45 billion, up a league high 22%. They're just killing, they're about to open a new park. And, they also came up on that 21.05 million from competing in the FIFA Club World Cup, which if you ask Galaxy fans, they're still salty about because they still feel like they still feel like they stole the Galaxy spot there. But the Galaxy are in the top 5 of these clubs that are or teams rather that are valued at over 1 billion. Obviously, LAFC is number 2. They're on the list at 1.4, Galaxy 1.17, Atlanta in 4th 1.1, and NYFC at 1.12. Is it any surprise to you, Charles, that Miami is leading the pack, being that they've been able to bring in Messi and been able to kind of re-up with a whole new lineup of young South American talent?
I think no. Short answer, no. I mean, they're the reigning MLS Cup champs. They have the GOAT as at the center of everything, right? It's not just what Messi does on the pitch, nor is it just the jerseys and the merch that his name and his fame sells. It's the gravity that he represents for the entire project. The fact that someone like Rodrigo de Paul is ready and willing to drop a well-established position at an elite La Liga club and roll out to Miami. It's the fact that someone like, something a buzz you're hearing around from competing MLS clubs is like, okay, Tadeo Allende is not a designated player. He took a pay cut. He's leaving a La Liga club to come and play with Messi. Like, okay, sure, right? And it's actually a lot of the same stuff that was said about the Dynasty era Galaxy, right? Surely the rules are being bent or broken here to allow this to happen. Although funny enough, I sat down with Bruce Arena this morning, and he said exactly this. He's like, Miami, what they're saying about Miami right now is exactly what everybody said about us back in the days. And I'm telling you, we didn't break the rules. We didn't, we didn't cheat and so forth. But everybody's kind of in disbelief that they're able to accrue the amount of talent that they have. But players want to play with a GOAT, and you can probably relate to that on some level, right? Even if you support a different club. And then when you add in the fact that there's just the glamour around Miami and they now have some momentum, right? And everybody knows that what they're doing gets attention, and someone like Dane Sinclair is ready to go there because he thinks that can help his long-term career, maybe help him make a move to Europe, can help him win the Canadian national team goalkeeper job for the World Cup. everybody understands now that the weight that this guy commands, and it has all these different manifestations. So absolutely. And as you said, the new stadium, which it looks like it's going to be pretty high level, right? We're now into the 2.0 or 3.0, whatever, of MLS Stadia, where cut corners are no longer being cut. And I think it'll be a cash cow for them in that sense. So things can change quickly in this league, of course, but right now they're the top dogs.
Yeah, no, it's impressive that even though that they're the top dogs, there's so many other teams that are actually billion-dollar teams. I mean, across the league, the value of each, the average value of teams is up 6% from last year, right? So what does that tell you about the financial growth of MLS? I mean, were you surprised by that number, or were you surprised that it wasn't bigger, perhaps?
I think we have to take this all with a grain of salt. These are estimates. I think they're pretty methodical and try to be holistic about how they compile the data, but there's still a challenge, I think, to moor this, right? To anchor this in objective reality of like actual dollars, and that's really hard, right? But I have to say, and I've heard that sort of reservation expressed about these valuations a lot over the years. But when you look at some of the, all we can do is try and find data points of club sales or changes of majority ownership and try and compare that with this. And it may seem frothy sometimes. It is super weird to me that there's all these MLS teams that are worth way more than a giant of the game like AC Milan, right? But there's all these different factors that go into that. But the most recent transaction was Sporting Kansas City's majority ownership change, right? One of their minority owners became the controlling stakeholder, and it was based on a valuation that was not that far off of. It was very much in line with the Forbes valuation. So as you have a few of those stacking up, like it's a little less frothy maybe than some of us may assume. We just have to keep going and have that long-term kind of comparison and try and ground this in fact. And it is something, it doesn't go all the way, but I think it is just another one of those data points of a hale and healthy league.
So your translation, basically, we can't rely on these as hard numbers, but you are encouraged though by what you see, because they're not too far off of expected valuation.
Well, we all know that vibes are an inevitable and essential part of the story, right? And
vibes are great.
The vibes are pretty good in Miami right now, like it or not, and the vibes are pretty good at LAFC, and I think even it's a statement to the enduring power of the Galaxy brand and the consistency of relevance and expectations that they're still in this conversation too for that own set of reasons. So even coming down off a down season, that's right there. And I think we can also look at the other end of it too, right? Like there's an aspirational element here that the clubs that have committed ownership that are not here, there's a little bit of a roadmap, I think, to how you get there. Obviously market size is always a factor. You can't control how big your metropolitan area is, but your investment, your infrastructure, your commitment to being competitive. Look, Miami is not the most well-heeled ownership group, right? They do not have the most net worth among the Moss family and Beckham's. Like, that's not what this is coming from. It's not that they're the richest. It is that they are the most committed. They are the most aggressive in spending money and doing whatever it takes. And again, even the haters out there have to acknowledge that at this point. And I've had this conversation with a couple of CSOs at other clubs yesterday. Like, they're doing everything within their power to be as competitive as possible, to be even a super club. And you have to respect that on at least a minimal level.
Yeah, Rob, that's an important point. Like, that's what I was thinking too, is like the level of investment that goes into those valuations, I think, can't be understated. And even a market like Miami, right? I think that you've seen that level of ambition. And again, for if I put my Galaxy hat on for a second, like that's the ambition that we're used to in this fan base. And now, we used to be the hated ones, and now it's Inter Miami. I mean, even Will Kuntz, when he was on here, he talked to us about him at the Yankees, and everybody hated the Yankees. So he's used to that type of pressure in the spotlight. And so now he's trying to work for an organization just like the Yankees that are expected to win every single year. So yeah, but I think the valuation's 100%. You can't underestimate the ambition level of investment from each of the ownership groups. So that's a huge point for sure.
Charles, another news point that came down recently was that the senior salary budget is climbing to just under $7 million. And then of course, that every team has to choose their own model, right? The roster construction model. Teams have to choose it by February 20th. Guys, if you aren't aware, that means that each team has to either have 3 designated players and 3 U22s, or two designated players and 4 U22s, and then they get an extra $2 million in GAM. And then my question here, Charles, is seeing what we have, is this still the best way to build these rosters, or do you see this kind of relaxing as we get closer to the World Cup? I mean, we saw something that we never thought possible in a calendar change. Could we be on the way to seeing maybe a relaxing of these rules as well?
I guess I'll just start by saying there's a loosening, right? There's less central control, for example, like and people who are even deeper down the sicko rabbit hole than I am, the guys over at Soccer Wise and others can give you the granular details. But most GAM doesn't expire now, which it used to expire, right? And there's little things like that, but there's still, like, we're still in an MLS environment where there's a single entity league with a larger and more powerful and more involved central office than the EPL or a lot of the what is the norm overseas. And so, and they are part of why that is that they're always trying to make the dollars go further. And we have these restrictions in order to make things and these guidances, right? There's all these like behavioral guidance. So the U22 program is just basically like unlimited amount of it's a discretionary spend in the jargon of MLS, where you have these 3 or 4 slots where you can spend literally anything you want to acquire this player. And it's a rather large loophole that MLS has decided is worth it to try and incentivize young player development and flipping young talent. Whether they're initially, I think they were conceiving of players from abroad, and now it's being applied to homegrown and stuff, which is a good thing, I think. Right. But the issue is you're still dealing with, you have the decisions and the big picture priorities of that central headquarters, and then you have a 30-team environment with 30 different ownership groups that are all sitting around a literal or metaphorical table at board of directors meetings, and they have to reach a consensus to change anything. And so I get annoyed all the time with stuff that I think is inefficient rules, antiquated, hidebound stuff, and the answer is that they simply haven't gotten to a critical mass of owners that are ready to make a change. And so that should underline the magnitude of the schedule change, because they worked for years to get the doubters in place to overcome the concerns that different teams in different markets had. And I should caution, the CBA has still not been updated, and that's going to be another tricky aspect of this that goes into it. But they've done everything they can so far within the CBA. The CBA doesn't restrict the change. It's just there's myriad umpteen details about it, right? So I think we'd all love to see maybe things decentralized at times, but it's gotten this way for a reason, and they feel like this is helping save everyone money collectively. So yeah, I know there's the casual's eyes tend to glaze over, right? Or maybe they did 5 minutes ago, and I get it, and it's a tough entry point. But the response that you hear from execs is like, look at NBA, look at NFL, right? Like you get into the crazy jargon over on that side of things pretty quick too, and the hardcores catch up to it because it affects the product on the field or the court.
Yeah, with the the NBA get into luxury taxes and all that kind of stuff, and
you're right. Second apron, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Every league has its own thing. MLS is one of MLS's things is this funny little thing called GAM. The Galaxy acquired a GAM spot in exchange for 240 K. So I'm sorry, they acquired an international roster slot from Austin in exchange for 240K in GAM. But just like they did with their previous roster slot pickup, Charles, it's only good until the summer of 2026. What do you think? Why do you think LA might have set themselves up like this with these international roster slots coming to an end so short? What are the advantages of that?
So the World Cup is this huge influence on everything that's happening, and it's not just in MLS, but specifically in MLS because it's a mid-season thing, right? So, and then on top of that, a year after the World Cup, you're shifting your schedule, and so all the contracts are having to be, and all the planning you're doing over the long and medium term is having to build into these two kind of massive icebergs, milestones, whatever out there on the horizon. Not everybody. A lot of teams are having to make tough decisions about their premium roster slots, and that's again jargon. We're talking about the DP spots, the U22s. Some people lump in the TAM level players in this as well. Those are precious, right? And typically winning teams are getting high levels of productivity and contributions out of the premium roster spots. If you have a roster spot now, granted you've got more time in the window. Everybody wants to have a complete team or close to it as possible around opening day, but you're going to go dark and pause for the World Cup this year for an extended amount of time. So there's going to be almost like an apertura clausura feel to things because of that. And teams are going to have to do sort of a different preseason, and you can maybe get your ass kicked for the first few months and still have hope based on rallying in the summer window. But also, what is the World Cup going to affect? How's it going to affect like the perceptions of this league and players whose contracts are expiring or getting towards the end that come summer? Like, could you make a landmark type of signing? Do you need to keep some level of decks clear to be ready for a truly elite player? Maybe there's players that, you look at why James is here. Like, he's here to get ready for the World Cup. There's a team option to keep him for the second half of the season, but he's super focused on that event. After the World Cup, there's other players who are going to be ready to make a new transition, to do something totally different with their career, maybe, and maybe playing here in the World Cup opens their mind to this in a way that it wouldn't otherwise. The question is, can you do that without handcuffing yourself for the months of the season that are points that are needed, right? And so,
right.
So there's a lot of tough decisions built into that.
Yeah, and it would seriously give the Galaxy fans PTSD if they were not to come out of the gate swinging this year. So they'd probably get really scared again. But let's take it to the CVI, because it's actually an opportunity to give Galaxy fans a new hope. And I was encouraged by a couple of things I saw. I know that you also picked up on this kind of youth movement that the Galaxy had out there. Greg shared that Chris Rindolph was carrying a knock, and that's the reason that Pepe Magana was out there. You saw him out there. What did you think of him, playing alongside of Maya Yoshida?
Yeah, well, I think he was noticeable by not being noticeable, right? And when you're talking about a young center back, and Vanney alluded to this in his post-game remarks that he shared with you, me, and a couple of other media that were there. He was, I think it was relatively short notice, that he found out, and you just want a player in that situation to make good decisions and look like they belong. And I think we have to say that was by and large the case. There's always a danger in any kind of over-indexing of preseason results or what you see, because there's umpteen different factors, right? And this is a team that's going to hop on a plane to Central America in a few days and 4 games in the first 10 days of the season, right? Major banana peel potential with this game, this CONCACAF Champions Cup game coming up. So This is a moment where other teams are doing this too right now, but the Galaxy in particular have to be really careful with what they consider their first 11, their preferred 11 at this moment, or that they want to have on the field for these first few games. But he's, he didn't face plant, right? And that's key. And I think something I got to talk with Vanney about this a little bit, because I had to ask him, like, today, is there a youth movement? Like, are we finally going to see that pipeline that has been such a topic of conversation, such missed opportunity? Again, I'm just speaking from the outside, but I'm sure you guys know even better than I do.
Matt DeSalbert,
there's so much talent, right?
Yeah.
There's so much talent, and not enough of it is working its way all the way through the player development pyramid that the Galaxy have built. Vanney said he really thinks this is the moment that they're on the cusp of something, because when he broke down by the age years, and for him, according to what he told me, it's like the 07s can be the ones that can really herald a steady flow. And so we're talking about guys like Harbor Miller, who was involved, who was active, Ruben Ramos, who scored. He thinks that crop of players are ready now and are ready. And granted, they always have to, the details matter. You have to bring them into a stable, coherent, functional lineup. You can't just throw them into the wolves, right? And he said things were too unsettled at the first team level last year. So guys got experience, but they were not set up to succeed in the way that you would ideally want. That seems to be that the hope, at least, is that you now have a structure of veterans around them. If you can plug in one or two guys here where you need or want to, they're in a stable environment to shine and without pressure and without risk, or at least moderated risk. I'm going to wait until I see it to really blow the trumpet, but God, I hope so. I mean, there's it's been too long, and there's just not been enough homegrowns coming through that are contributing or bringing value, even as transfers out. It's about time, and I hope it's the case.
No, absolutely. One of the things that I have heralded about Seattle's model is that they regularly bring through younger players, and they feature younger players in their starting 11. And we used to have that to an extent with Giazzi Zardes and the players like that, but there's also been a plethora of players that have just gone away on a free. So it's good to see that, and Greg has been talking about this 07 class since last year, Charles. He's been telling us, the 07s are where it's at, and we're starting to see that, like you mentioned. Ruben Ramos got the goal for the Galaxy, the first one. Matias Nascimento got the second one. Also, one of the younger players, and then Gabriel Peck gets the third. If you weren't around, the Galaxy bounced back from that defeat to the Chicago Fire by beating St. Louis City 3-0. Charles, we've already talked about this as being a young roster, a depth roster. What did Greg's lineup tell you about the way he was approaching this match, maybe in relation to the start of the season being so close?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've got to build things up, and the CCC opportunity, it's a big opportunity. It's also a massive challenge on multiple fronts for any club. You've got your periodization process in every sense. Most of it's physical, but there's also tactical and aspects of getting up to speed a month, essentially, or close to a month in some cases, before the league season opener, playing games of consequence and often in high intensity environments. And you've got to get your guys close to their peak, or at least approaching their peak much sooner than you normally would. And then you have to deal with it over the long term of the season ahead, right? Because you can't crater. You've got to get them up without getting them at too high a level too quickly. And he lived this with the Toronto FC teams. I mean, if you go look, like, his peak Toronto FC team won the treble in 2017. They had an outstanding run in CCL. Which was CCL at the time. They beat Tigres and America, I think it was, on the road to the final. They lose on penalties and a heartbreaker to Chivas Guadalajara, to Matias Almeida's Chivas. And then they were just absolutely knackered, right? Like, it was like a failure cascade from there on out. Injuries, just all kinds of setbacks that led them to miss out on the playoffs after winning a treble. And so I think he's lived this as much as anybody, and he knows the danger. It helps a lot that you have 3 home games after this this long trip to a difficult environment. But you're going to be a big club. You got to do this stuff. And the idea is that these kids are going to help, lower end roster depth and be dependable contributors when you've got to dig a little deeper.
I'm kind of curious. You mentioned that this trip to Central America is a potential banana peel game. We actually call those trap games here on the show. Just the game you're like, we got this one in the bag, and then you go and you're like, surprise, you got trapped, right? I like banana peel as well because that's kind of like an oopsie if there ever was one, right? Do you think there's that possibility that perhaps they're not ready and they go down to Panama and they lay that stinker?
Yeah, so Greg told me today, like, it's possible that this game, I haven't seen this officially, but it's there. It may get moved to the National Stadium, which would be a little bit of a less tricky scenario compared to having to go to a smaller place that's
right,
turf field and a lot of the kind of vagaries built into that. But I mean, this is CONCACAF, right? And this is something that the big countries' national teams have been dealing with, and it happens in CCC and CCL. Like it doesn't take much for things to start snowballing for you in these moments, because you don't want to lose control of a game's flow. You don't want to be behind. The worst case scenario is finding yourself down on aggregate, right? I mean, you remember what they were dealing with this time last year, right. And they managed to navigate through in that first round. But it just applies so much more stress. It pressurizes everything that you're doing. This is a game that has to be managed, and you've got to have the right group of players in there who have been there before, or who have the type of experience and quality that can help you keep a hold of the tempo. So I think the good Vanney teams are able to do that very well. I'm really not sure what the first choice lineup is going to be like. That's tricky, but I know that both he and Kuntz told me a big part of the recruitment this winter was getting MLS guys, not having to deal with late reports or waiting on work visas. These guys know the league. They know the environment. So Klaus, Justin Hack, Jacob Glessens, these guys many of them have even been in these types of CCC games before. They should be able to provide a steadying influence and help it through. And the other part of this that I want to mention too, one of the most interesting things that Will Kuntz said to me was, we were talking about those recruits, and if you notice, there's a theme that runs through them, through these signings, that they're all like physically more imposing maybe than some of the options that were there last year.
Yeah.
He said an interesting phrase to me. I mean, and it's not, I use the word nastiness, and he kind of pushed back on it a little bit. He said, it's not that we've gotten nastier, but we've gotten beefier, right? There's just physically bigger. They're guys that can impose themselves in that aspect of the game. And he said, we know teams, after they play us, teams are going to be tired because we want to make them chase. We want to make them work with the ball. But this year we want them to also be tired and sore, right? So guys that can get stuck in, that can lay down the law in that sense, which I think he has admitted. I think anybody who was watching that team last year, they're just way too easy to play against for way too many situations.
Yeah, no, Charles, you're absolutely right. I mean, I knew that Klaus was a big lad, but then he walked by, and I was like, "Ay, Dios mío, this guy's a monster." You're definitely right. One of the things that we talked about several times on this podcast over the course of last season was that just the level of disrespect that teams would go in and bully the Galaxy, even at home. And so hopefully you're right. Hopefully these, Glesnes, Hack is like a bigger body as well. Hopefully they add some steel to this team. So far, since you've seen the Galaxy out there in preseason, who's impressed you the most?
Ooh, that's a tough call, because I think the vibe was interesting yesterday, and I wasn't able to watch all 90 minutes because I was talking to people and I was bouncing back and forth between two games. But there's more fan influence, again, as we talked about with the G's that were out there. And something I saw, I think the group showed its youth a little bit, in the sense where St. Louis wants to be a pressing team. They're pushing high. There were times when the Galaxy would play through it and get out into space, and I could hear the crowd, the people around me were like, let's go, get at them, let's go, right? They want that direct play. and there was times when they would recirculate maybe, right, or like it wasn't quite on, or and signs of a preseason environment, I think, where and I could feel that a lot of the G's fans were left wanting, right? They want that the go for the jugular mentality, and I think the hope is that you can still see that, right? I mean, that 24 team was so good at being, you could do multiple things at a high level. They could ping it around, they could make you chase. Of course, with Ricky, you're always gonna be creating chances and stretching the opposition. But then they were just brutal in transition. When you have those elite wingers with Paintsel and Peck, he wants to get them out on the run. They want to get rolling, right? And so I think that's the next phase is going to be who are able to be the complementary pieces that can get the best out of the elite players. Again, I don't know that who's going to be ready to go on opening day, whether you consider that CCC or the league opener. But if you have in a perfect world Peck, Paintsel, Royce, and then Klaus in front of them, I mean, that's a lot of firepower. And the guys behind them and around them, I think they're going to be judged on how much you can raise that level, right? So I look at someone like Nelson. He's against a lot of people's expectation. I mean, that's still a really quality left back at an incredible value in salary budget management terms. And Maya Yoshida, man, he's mostly not first choice guys, but I can't help but wonder. I think Maya Yoshida is going to end up playing a lot of minutes this year just because of what he does. He's defying father time right now. He's a glue guy, both on and off the field, I think, and I remain just like a big stan of Yoshida, and then Cerrillo,
yep.
And then Cerrillo as well. Just to close on that, like they want to get him some help. They want to be able to platoon him with Hack, to have one or the other, or even play him as a double pivot as they need to, because there was a lot on his shoulders. But I saw yesterday why that is, man. Like he's really come into his own as a top pro, and I think he's going to be key to the Galaxy's best version of themselves this year.
I was going to say, Rob and Charlie, because you asked Charlie, like, who impressed you? For me, it wasn't who, it was what. It was a what, which is the G's showed a different facet, which is a pressing game. Like, that's something that Galaxy fans have not been used to over the past few years. And we talk about this youthful exuberance that's injected into the starting lineup. That's one of the facets of the game that allows Greg to do. It allows us to have a higher line of confrontation and press the opposition into mistakes. And so I think that's kind of interesting, something to watch throughout the season is like, look, it's going to be based on personnel. It's going to be based on player profile. But the reality is that, look, these guys have shown a capability to do that, not through the 90 minutes, but in spurts, right? And 2 of those goals came off of the back of mistakes. So I think it's super interesting as we talk about how Greg manages the team over this 4-match and 9-day stretch, which is unbelievable, by the way. And we're probably going to have the same thing in the second round of the CCC if we get past, right? So very, very compressed schedule. So it'll be interesting to see like what triggers Greg pulls in that facet, like how he wants to attack the game. That'll be fun to watch for sure.
I think, and when you look around the league, the old Klopp adage about the press being the best playmaker, right? Like that will pick you up points reliably in MLS. If you have an athletic, aggressive team that can execute a press with consistency. The Philadelphia Union have been defying the doubters, right, for year after year after year. They are the shield holders. They do it with that system. They've spawned copycats. I mean, I live in D.C. The DC United are trying to create a Philly-esque model right now by going out and paying top dollar for Philly's leading scorer, because they see that you don't necessarily have to have elite talent. Of course, the Galaxy can call on elite talent. The question is, though, if you have 4 and 10, or if you have a 3-game week, or 3 and 8, kind of the kind of stuff that happens a lot, especially when you are making deep runs in multiple competitions, you need to be able to simplify things a little bit and get some youth on there. And what they lack maybe in game-changing moments in the final third, they can make up for with energy, with intensity, and be more direct and be a little bit more pragmatic to pick up points or deny points to your opponents in these league situations.
Guys, it's funny because we've talked a lot about the Galaxy here in the CVI, and really, I just keep thinking back to what I'm context. I watch the Galaxy now, and I keep thinking back to last year in 2025. Right, last year, 16 games unbeaten. Obviously, without a win, rather. Yeah, right. No, yeah, totally opposite of that. But
Wishful thinking,
last
I
year
like
it seemed like everything went against the Galaxy. Even when they would get a win, they would probably couldn't follow it up with another one. Here in preseason, at the very least, they've been doing pretty well. They followed up their one and only preseason loss by bouncing back and getting a pretty commanding 3-0 win. Should we be impressed at all, or is this it's only preseason?
Like I said before, man, I always urge caution when it comes to preseason results. It's more about trying to pick out little things from it, right? And because there's so many variables that can affect, who's on the pitch for you, who's on the pitch for the other team, where people are at in their different schedules and builds to fitness. I'm privileged. I'm lucky that I was able to chat with the two of the leading architects of this team today. And what impresses me is these guys both get it. They know that this has to be better. The way Will Kuhn said it was, we weren't just below expectations last year. We were below what we think was the capacity of that group. And so there is a collective sense of urgency, a pressure, the right kind of pressure, the pressure that people choose to work and play for a club like this, that comes with it. I don't probably have to tell you guys, there's some pyrotechnics happening across town with high dollar elite talent, right? The guy just right. Probably the best overall talent behind Messi is in Son. Right. They know that they need to be doing it on the field and they need to remain relevant, that there's an MLS elite that could potentially be sort of pulling away from the rank and file of this league. I mean, Bruce Arena today told me he thinks this may start to look like Major League Baseball in the next few years, where you have significant sort of gaps between the tiers of spenders, and doesn't mean those lower spenders can't be competitive. But if you're a team like the Galaxy, like you've got to make a statement with what you're doing and be in the spotlight. And they believe that they want and need to be in that elite, and you don't want to get left behind. And so it starts right away. So I think I'm hearing the right things from Vanney and Kuntz, and the vibes around that the players have, in the little that I've seen around the players, seems to be an understanding that this is a big year. This is a momentous year. They've done what they think they need to do to refresh the squad and reinforce. So I would be feeling optimistic. Of course, everybody's optimistic. Conversations in preseason are all well and good because nobody's been punched in the face yet. But there's plenty of reasons for bullishness.
But I think there is something to be said about, getting wins in preseason. It's almost like a validation. It's almost like a proof point to these guys, especially the young players, that, what we're doing in training and the things that we're working on, it's coming through in results, at least in preseason. Right now, granted, the naysayers are going to say, okay, it's against a not very good St. Louis team. Let's be honest. Chicago was like a really good test. That's probably a team that will face more of those teams. If you think about, NYCFC and those other teams to start the season, that first 5-game block, remember, Rob, in the league, it's not an easy, there's no pushovers in that stretch. So I think the wins early, though they don't count for anything, no 3 points, but I think that's going to help the confidence of this team, especially in the face of what happened last year. I think they need that validation. And so I'm hopeful. Anyways,
what you call validation is what Charles called vibes earlier. They need the good vibes going into the season.
However you want to dress it up, Papa.
Yeah, no, I mean they need the good vibes. Well, I mean, and the good vibes are translating. I mean, that's the third clean sheet of preseason. Gabriel Peck scores another one on his birthday, no less. Happy birthday to him again. And that's 12 goals for and 4 against in here in preseason. So they are trending well. Also looking good because young players are scoring. I saw a Harbor Miller, which I'm ready to throw on as a starter without getting too carried away here. But I saw a bunch last year as well, and Greg says he's ready for this level. I like Harbor a lot, but Charles, who do you think maybe from the younger players has the biggest upside?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think the most buzz is about Ramos because he's showing the tools that are so valuable, right? I mean, the goals are the most precious currency of this game, and he seems to be ahead of the curve in terms of his age. And they, according to what you were there, like from what Harbor Miller told us, like Vanney has told these guys, you will get your opportunities. You will be asked to contribute in first team minutes of note. So again, and if you talk about where preseason results matter the most, it's the signals that they send, the fact that a kid is given an opportunity and he takes it, he scores a goal. The belief is mutual, right? The belief spreads amongst the squad. The collective sees that he's earned this chance and he's taking it, right? And that's so important. And again, as we talked about before, to have that coherent collective around you, pushing you on, looking for something higher. From what I'm being told, the intensity level in the training sessions has gone up like significantly from where it was last year, which is Vanney's term was the young guys are getting pulled up by the scruffs of their neck, right? By their collars. Like the level goes up, you bring them along by hook or by crook. And so that suggests that there's a little bit of that virtuous cycle taking root.
That's interesting because last year very much the message is we got to give these players time to bed in and get acclimated, and so it's kind of a sharp departure, sure, and maybe something more welcome. I'm not sure. You'd have to ask Galaxy fans this hook or crook mentality, like we're gonna drag you along, but we're gonna drag you, and you gotta keep up. That's kind of one of the reasons I was enjoying the Pepe Magani and Maya pairing. Of course, Pepe gets substituted out for Justin Hack, who comes into the back line, which we spoke about earlier. We've seen him a lot at that center defensive midfielder position, but for you, where do you think he fits in best?
Another good turn of phrase, Vanney calls Hack his joker because he can do so many different things and he can plug different roles and different holes. What impressed me about Hack is you have someone who thinks like a D mid and has the comfort on the ball that a D mid does. I like having him at central defense because then he can read the play and step up and step into the midfield to win tackles or he can advance the ball, forward and kind of read what the opponent is presenting. So it seems like they are seeing him more as a demon at the moment. As I understand it, that's where he's getting a little bit more of a look. I think he's got to be. And I was actually before I came here, I was having dinner with a couple of media colleagues, and somebody was telling me that Hack is in the 11 right now, period. And then it's just a question of where you think he gives you the most. So. I'm curious to see how that all plays out. It's great to have those options, but he's a very useful player coming in from a system similar to the Galaxy, so he should be able to hit the ground running in terms of comfort in a possession scheme. And then they can, NYC have done a little bit of pressing as well. So that aspect of it, I like that a lot. So I think that's something there. Although again. Glesnes, I know I was just bigging up Yoshida, but Glesnes is a really powerful addition here too. I think when you look at everything he brings to the table, the character, the leadership, the intensity. So again, that like I said before, I think that the physicality of this group is an early metric to keep an eye on.
I hadn't actually planned on asking this, but if you had to be Greg Vanney really quick on opening day, what's your center back pairing?
For me, it's hard not knowing everybody's physicality levels, but I'm curious to see what a Glesnes Hack pair would look like.
Ananda, what about you? What are you going with?
I'm going with Glesnes and Garces. I'm putting Hack in the midfield. Yeah, either to partner Serio or Sanabria. I like the yin and yang partnership. I like the sort of physical speed that Garces brings. I mean, you can't teach speed and you can't teach athleticism. And those are two things that Emilio Garces has, and he's got the sweeper behind him. And so I like that combination. And then maybe Hack is a solo or lone deep lying, or maybe partnering with Edwin Serio. I mean, that system is pretty flexible. Although I do agree with Charles, like I like Hack when he's sort of less on the half turn and more looking up, or maybe winning a tackle and then looking up and making that direct pass. Edwin Serio is a little bit better on the half turn. He's got a little bit more technical ability. That's not to say that Justin Hack doesn't have technical ability, but I mean on the pivot, on the half turn. So that's something for sure in Greg Vanney's system that, midfielder wise, that's pretty important. So, but Lucas Sanabria looks good too, man. Like him, and look, I was actually really impressed with a 2-man midfield in a 4-4-2 that Greg implemented in the second half. Like, having the two strikers up there, Nasi and Ramirez, sort of switching back and forth, and one of them dropping deep, the other one going past. Like Greg never plays a 2-striker system, so that was super interesting to me.
I was just about to say that. All right. In the 4 years that we've been doing this podcast, the 7 years that I've been covering the Galaxy, I think I've seen Greg play like a 4-4-2 maybe 4 or 5 times, if that. Yeah, I mean, you
played 2 strikers in New York, and we were there to see that demolition. So that didn't work out too well.
Yeah, Charles. We went out to the East Coast, to New York, to watch that 7-0 demolition from the New York Red Bulls. But we have just 2 more here for you, and then we'll let you go and and enjoy Palm Springs. In your opinion, is this team ready for its first matches, based on everything you've seen?
Yeah, it's I hate to belabor the point. A CONCACAF away day is a tricky one. It's a really tricky first match. So when you've got so many changes in the group, you've kind of got to prove it in that moment. But I think so. I mean, I think they should be, and it's I hope it's not a sore spot if I point down the road to the south and look at. I mean, anybody who watched any of what San Diego FC did over 2 legs against Pumas in an even earlier start to their season, right? Like, and they had a deep playoff run, and then just a matter of weeks before they had to get back together and play a gigante of Liga MX. It was really impressive, and it was with kids. Literally, I was Googling guys on San Diego FC's 11. I'm like, Wilson Eisner. Okay. This is my job. I'm supposed to know, like, okay, this guy left the Quakes 2 team, and now he's starting at right back for San Diego FC against Pumas in early February, right? He just got here, and he was fine. He fit in. Like, talk about a baptism by fire. That in the structure around him is so sturdy and so clear, and the ideology is so understood and well implemented that they can do that, right? And they've done that. They did that over and over again last year. Again, I don't have to tell you, right? They're doing it, picking up cast-offs from other teams, especially including other California teams, and that they've paid a pittance for. Like, that's and that's a big sort of emerging front in MLS. Is like, the academy is one thing. Everybody wants a productive academy. If you're having issues with your pipeline of the homegrown kids, that's one thing. You can still do player development. You can still go and do these reclamation projects, find undervalued assets elsewhere that can contribute to you. And I think that's a key topic in the whole youth movement conversation for the Galaxy. Is they've got to pick up some of those lessons. This is a copycat league, so yeah. I'm sure they're taking some notes from SDFC, but they've shown it can be done.
Yes, everybody knows I love the phrase, good composers borrow, great composers steal. I think that was John Lennon, actually, that said that. I could be wrong. But Charles, we're going to let you go here with this last question. It is a super chat from our good friend Adam. Adam, thank you so very much for your super chat. He says, one question you guys would have for the Galaxy this season. One question you have for the Galaxy this season, Charles.
So I think a big theme that I've encountered with Greg Vanney over the years, and this goes back to TFC as well, he wants to be, I think his preferred model is a ball dominant, pass and possess, stretch the other team, right? Ping it around type of philosophy. Involved in that, there's always this sort of like a smarter writer than me coined this. I can't remember. You have to kind of picture this invisible switch, right? Where you're working along a spectrum between risk, which is built into that system he wants to play. You have to take risks to play the beautiful soccer, to carve open defenses, to move opponents around, versus control, right? And you also need to be controlling the game. You need to not be vulnerable in transition. You can't allow the opposition to set the tempo or to weaponize your vulnerabilities. And so I think that's kind of been a story, especially for the Galaxy, right? Like they got that balance just right in 2024, and it was just absolutely unstoppable. And it all fell apart last year. So I'm going to be watching clearly, like, what is that risk control spectrum going to look like? And I think that may be the defining question, at least as I see it at the moment, for the Galaxy in 2026.
Hey man, thank you so much for being here with us.
Hold on, I want y'all's answers. You have to answer now. Come on, don't come.
Oh yeah,
don't leave me hanging. Let's go.
Yeah, no,
Rob, you've been asking all the questions. You go first.
Yeah, no, sure. I mean, we've been talking about youth a lot, and I want to know if this is the year that not only do like the younger youth players like Harbor and Ruben Ramos and possibly like Pepe Magana step up, but also the other younger players like Winder and Nascimento, Sanabria, like especially Sanabria, they bought him on big money, and last year obviously he had injuries and everything like that, but I want to know if this is the year they're going to step up, because they absolutely need to take that next step for the Galaxy to be successful. I mean, you got to think that conceivably Sanabria is going to be starting a good amount of these games, and you want to be able to rely on somebody like him, especially Elijah Winder as well. That midfield was overran so many times last season, and simply I think it was to your point, Charles, that these young players got thrown out there in a kind of a tough position and not in a place to succeed. So this year, hopefully they have a bit more of a stable environment in which to kind of thrive and show why Will Kuntz brought them in, because last year if you go on last year's evidence, you would say, he got these signings wrong, but I think long term the vision is there and they will come good. Hopefully now we just see that.
Yeah, and I think mine is, I'm going to follow along the lines of thinking with Charlie here. And Rob, it's a question that our good friend Sophie Nicolau always asks us about the Galaxy, and it's a conversation topic that I love having with her, which is, what is the identity of the Galaxy? Like, what will be the identity of the 2026 LA Galaxy? We saw that in 2024, it was an identity around a very high-powered offense. Like, we're going to crush you guys 5-2, 6-1, whatever that is, right, in the playoffs. Like, I think it was, 10-1 aggregate against the Colorado Rapids. I mean, the Galaxy had, especially ever since that home come-from-behind win 4-2 against LAFC, El Tráfico, I thought that was the turning point of that season in particular. They just went on a complete blitz from there. And so this year, the puzzle pieces are different. The profiles are different. So along the lines of like identity, like what is the Galaxy's MO going to be? Is it, like Charles said, is it going to be sort of more on the risk side where we are, playing pretty patterns of play and possession-based style and we're scoring a lot of goals? Or can we be a 40 goal against defensive team and be really, really hard to break down, really, two banks of four, and be really, really defensively resolute and hit teams more on the counter, hit teams in semi-transition, use the speed of your wingers, and even João Klaus, who's underrated speed-wise, right? Can we use that to our advantage and win games 1-0, 2-1, 2-0? Like those are score lines that you're going to need to in the CCC, especially in the continental competition. So what is that identity, Rob? That's something for me to watch throughout the year, and I'm hoping the Galaxy can find that happy medium where we are a 40 to 50 goal against team. I think that's good enough now for us to be a contender in the West. So that's super important in my opinion. Yeah,
I mean, you heard Will Kuntz say it, like why you bring these players in. I mean, we
Goals against.
simply goals against, right? You know, he put it plain as day. You know, so Charles, would you say that that's kind of like the goal now? I mean, Greg Vanney was a defender, switching that high-powered 2024 offense into the 2026 Galaxy defensive stalwarts.
Well, listen, man, I'm a neutral. I want them to win the 5-4 games. Like that's what we want, right? Entertainment, baby. And 2024 was very, very entertaining in that sense. That you had the idea that they didn't mind conceding out again, right? Because they could always nudge that throttle up and just run teams out of the building, and that was fun. We always talk about defense winning championships, right? Which it's true in a sense, but they kind of defied that logic a little bit with that team, and it was a blast to watch.
Yeah.
Maybe the matrix is a little bit different this time around, but I certainly hope they push the throttle and give us something fun to watch, and don't worry too much about the details at the back. But yeah, we'll see.
You know, coming from somebody that last year had to write the same headline over and over again, Galaxy drop another one. Galaxy dropped the 14th. Galaxy dropped their 15th. I just hope they give me a new headline to write this year. You know, like, give me good stories this year, guys. Cuneros, please show Charles your love. You know, he very graciously shared his time with us. And please let us know where we can find you. Obviously, you know, on the MLS.com website. But, you know, where else can we find you on the socials?
Yeah, MLSsoccer.com is where most of my work appears, and then I'm on social. I've got an Instagram account, but I'm doing most of my content on Blue Sky, which is, hold on, I always mess up the Blue Sky at cboehm.bsky.social. So check me out there. Almost everything I write, I'll throw up there, and then hit me up with your questions, and we can chop it up as well on the Blue Sky.
Hey man, thank you so very much. It's been an honor for us. Like I said, Guneros, this man knows ball. You guys heard him in the flesh. Bars, quite simply bars. So thank you so much, man. Open invitation. Anytime you'd like to come on here and preach, you can, man. Like I said, bars.
You're far too kind. Thanks for having me, guys. It was a blast. I'm glad we were able to link up this time around.
Hey, thank you, man. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you. Have a good
night. Enjoy the season.
Yeah, you too, man. Don't work too hard. Hopefully we see you in LA again soon.
Yep.
That'd be great, man. I love those trips. Let's go.
Awesome. Have a good one.
Hey, man. You know, we always talk about it, and we always say, like, you know, those people that you read, you know, those people that you looked up to, like, don't ever meet him. Nah, I'm here to tell you, like, that's Cap. Like, awesome guy. Thank you again for you know, sharing your knowledge with us, and honestly, like, giving us a couple of pearls that we wouldn't have otherwise known. I mean, he literally sat with Greg and Will today, Galaxy fans. So
yeah,
you know, he's
that was
giving
cool.
you an inside look into this team that the Galaxy are trying to construct and what they're trying to do, really, like the philosophy. Ananda, you're talking about identity, but you know, Charles gave us an inside look into kind of like this philosophy that this team is living by. So, you know, in that respect, good on him, man. So yeah, no, it was an honor to have him on.
I liked the quote about the Will Kuntz saying this team got beefier, right? Like, we're going to be harder to push over. And I agree with that. I really do. And it's coming with that is also a level of competitiveness. We talked about that with Mo a couple of shows ago, right? Eric Tommy and Joao Klaus. So obviously Eric Tommy's not, he's not as physically imposing, but he brings a level of competitiveness and like grit and like fight. And those are qualities that we're missing last year.
Yeah,
so
he's played at a top level, and he knows what it is to go against like a 6'6" center back or you know, just like a monster winger, you know, because he's been there, he's done that, you know.
Yeah, but I do like his like, that's one thing I noticed yesterday really well, that you know, Nasi can hold up the ball really well. Even Christian Ramirez held up the ball decently well yesterday. Again, for being a third string, striker, or maybe a second striker in a 4-4-2, Rob. Like that was super interesting to me. I was like, whoa, like I didn't expect that, right? So that was fun. That was fun to watch. But yeah, physically imposing guys. Like even I was gonna ask you, I didn't ask Charles because he had to drop, but I looked at Dylan Vanney when he stepped on the pitch. Like he didn't look out of place.
Good. He looked good.
Well, not only that, but like physically, he doesn't look like a teenager. Like he looked like he looked like the same size as Edwin Cerrillo.
A little under, but like it's no different. Yeah. It's no different than when Nasi got here last year. Like I was just about to comment that the Nasi looks like he's filled out a little bit. Got speaking of beefier, he looks like he's put on a little muscle. I think this time next year that'll be Dylan. He's just like a little under. Like I was looking at him and I was like, okay, he's not that much smaller than the cats on the field, So yeah, I don't think he has to be worried about his physicality. Of course he's gonna keep growing. So
yeah, and he's a teenager. That's why he didn't look out of place. Like he didn't look lanky, So that was cool to see. Rob, couple super chats.
Yeah, man. And we had the other Vanney. I don't know if you mentioned, but I
Mason.
Mason, yeah, he was on the field as well. So shout out to them. We do have a couple super chats. We have Ed Hermano XPH
shout
on up in
XPH.
the house. He says, "Hey Rob, hey Ananda. If it's not soccer, what sport do you follow and what team do you support in that sport?" Well, Ananda, you can share for both of us because we're.
Oh yeah, well, I was gonna do another one, but go ahead, because I have another one that I follow that you probably know, or maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, no, Ananda and I are both pretty big Laker fans. I don't know if I've shared this with you guys, but my dad learned how to speak English by watching Laker games and listening to Chick Hearn and then also the Rocky movies. So he says some really, really weird shit sometimes, but I digress. But yeah,
your dad learned the refrigerator, huh, from Chicky Baby?
Oh yeah, of course, man. And he still has an accent, obviously. So if he ever tries to do it, it's pretty funny. But pretty big Laker fan and NBA fan, and we're a Laker family. Like my cousin used to make fun of me because I used to rock Lakers Converse, and this was like back in the day, in the heyday when the Bulls were like the dominant team, and everyone was like,
and everyone was wearing Jordans. Yeah,
exactly. And I was wearing my Lakers Converse, man.
Nice. Yeah, and I couldn't afford Jordans back then. Jordans were so expensive, and it's like back then they were like $80. Now they're like $200. Like, yeah. Gotta love inflation. But actually, Lakers, huge one. XPH, I'm also actually a big Formula One fan. I know I talk about this with Alex Ruiz a lot. And my team right now is actually the Williams team because I don't really support a team, but my favorite driver is, of course, Spanish driver Carlos Sainz. So there you go. And he's on the Williams team right now.
There you go. Yeah, and I kind of follow along, just preferably hockey and stuff like that. Baseball, I'm a Dodgers fan, even though a couple years I grew up in New York back in the day when I was like 3-4, and so I remember the old Yankee Stadium, so I kind of have a little heart for that franchise as well. But overall it's pretty much right or die with the Lakers still to this day. Yeah. We have another super chat from the homie Adam. He says, any team from the East, you looking forward to Galaxy playing this
my
season?
answer on this one, Papa. You know my answer. It's got to be Montreal for one reason and one reason only.
Yeah.
Right?
No, you stole mine, man. You stole mine. Man.
I mean, it's obvious. That one's an obvious one. And we don't play Montreal often, so
no, not at all.
The trip. What is that? It's in August, Papa. It's in August.
That's a Jalen reunion, man.
I would love to make that a road trip. Yep.
Yeah, that would be great. And we have spoken to Galaxy Moment, and she said that she'll be going out there, and so we should definitely make it a trip so we can see Jalen.
By the way, Edward, thank you so much for your comment, and I hope you enjoyed it. And good to see you in the chat. So hope to see you back here next time.
Hey, thank you so much, man.
Another super chat. Mr. Adam again. What time you guys arrive home to home opener? Honestly, man, I can't even plan that far ahead, Adam. I have no freaking clue. I don't even know what time kickoff is. Like I like
That's
but
legit. I don't know what time kickoff is either. Isn't it 6:30? Is it 6:30?
I'm looking right now. 4 p.m. on a Sunday.
Oh, it's because it's on a Sunday. On a
Sunday.
Sunday afternoon. Yeah, I
Yeah.
usually try to get there at least an hour beforehand, Adam. Now, everybody that knows me knows that I chronically run late as well. So that usually
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say an hour early is what you say now, but
yeah.
then
Yeah,
yeah.
so that usually means that I get there like half an hour before, if that. But anyway, that's what we're shooting for, at least an hour before. Now, I will tell you, back in the day on opening day, man, that was an all day kind of thing. Before, I used to cover the team, like
Yeah.
Mama Jalan and Papa Jalan would go out there. We would cook up a storm. We'd bring out the grill and stuff like that. Fun times. But
Yeah, but there
I
are
hope
home openers. There's always like cool stuff happening in like
absolutely
tailgate areas and the parking lots. So yeah, Rob, let's make
there's
it
a hardcore show.
let's make it effort to get out there early and catch the vibes. So
The ministers aren't going to like that, but we'll have to deal with that later.
it's an ongoing negotiation. And he also asked any thoughts on Matt Free seeing him next Sunday. Yeah, I mean, obviously a very good goalkeeper. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting also to see Todd Donovan if he's going to be in the stadium at all. So
Yeah. No, there's no real big thoughts on Matt Free. Like Anana said, very competent goalkeeper, but it's the opposite holds true. Like any thoughts on the opposite side for them seeing Justin Hack, back so soon.
Yeah, I mean, for sure we've got to pepper that goal. I mean, he's a good goalkeeper, but you know what? We've got to pepper that goal. We've got to knock his confidence early.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we'll do the preview show and everything, but like the one thing I want to avoid for that game is a repeat of San Diego. Like this has to be a repeat of Miami in 2024 and not San Diego. Like the early tone that the Galaxy set for themselves and their fan base. If you want to make the Digs a fortress again, you've got to start now. And that would be the 22nd of February, which is, that's crazy, man. 10 days. Nuts.
There was a lot of fanfare that day and a lot of distractions.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of distractions. Hopefully that doesn't happen this year. I think that brings us to the end. I mean, if you guys have made it this far with us, I mean, feel like it's a good time to remind you that thank you for making it this far with us. First off, secondly, we do appreciate you jumping on over to YouTube at some point and hitting that hitting that subscribe. You'll know if you hit that subscribe button when we have amazing guests like Charles on, or Will Kuntz on, or Tom Bogart on, or Sophie Nicolau on, or Josh Guest.
Or who do we have coming up pretty soon? Or, he told you to remind everyone, so it might as well.
Yeah, I mean for real though, we have the great one himself on the 26th, Joe Tutino, here with us. So y'all better be here and show that man some love. I want everybody to drop by and say how this man has touched your lives, because honestly, like, I'm sitting in this chair partially because of him. We have another super chat here through the homie Adam. He says, "What team do you guys think NYC will play next season to open their new stadium?" Ooh, I mean, the obvious one is Inter Miami. It's got to be Inter Miami or the Galaxy, right? That's usually the
Hudson River Derby, right? Or
that one would be epic.
Yeah, Inter Miami, right?
Yeah.
Well, we'll see too. That's by the way, are they opening their season? Are they opening their stadium in the mini season, in the sprint?
No sé, but I've seen renderings of the stadium. It looks really nice, man.
Yeah, this is that like
the
Etihad Light, the Etihad Light Stadium, right?
I guess. I mean,
it's called Etihad Park. It's called Etihad Park, Baba. I mean,
it is called Etihad Park.
Yeah.
Oh man, come on.
It's called. I just googled it right now. It's called Etihad Park. So I am right to call it Etihad Light.
Yeah, you're not far off. But no, I was kind of taken, not aback, but like I was struck by the architecture. Like I like the little cube thing, you know, that they have going on.
Honestly, Miami's looks really sick. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah,
Looks
well, no,
really sick.
It's a whole development, man. It's not just like the stadium.
Yep.
It's like it's like the shops around there. You know, like I heard there's even like apartments that are being sold around there. So, you know, it's not just the stadium. It's so they're trying to make it so everyone just kind of chills down there, I guess. You know, so I mean, I guess if you build it, they will come. So anyway, that's enough out of us, Ananda. I think we
Less
pretty much
waffle.
covered everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
Less waffle. I think we pretty much covered everything. So next on this humble little podcast, you know, as Laguna Galaxiana, on Monday, February 16th, we'll be joined by the one and only Arquitecto Verbal.
Hey,
You heard him in the intro song. You know him. You love him. He will be here to debut Laguna Galaxiana Season 4 title track. Give us his thoughts on this Galaxy team. Give us his hopes and aspirations for the season. You know, he'll share with us whether he likes long walks on the beach or in the forest more. You know, it'll be a good time. It'll be us hanging out with one of our favorite friends of the show, Arquitecto Verbal. And I keep on telling him, man, you got to get me in the studio. I got to sing the hook on something, man. But he's going to be here dropping that new heat. And then, you know, again, we'll be dropping everything you need to know about the Galaxy's first competitive match of the season in our Sporting San Miguelito Champions Cup game preview. Then on Thursday, February 19th, we'll be reacting to the Galaxy's first CONCACAF Champions Cup matchup along with all of you. Remember, that match is on Thursday. Game time is at 5. That means game should be over by 7-ish. We'll be getting out of the press conference right in time to hook up with you guys at 9 p.m. So,
instant reaction time. Yeah, we'll have to figure out what to do on that one because it'll be hot off the press, man.
It'll be hot off the presses. It'll that day it'll be more vibes than facts, man. I mean, it'll be kind of instant reactions of things we saw. I mean, we make him hot. If you know, Charles called it a banana peel game. I mean, like we call it a trap game. If it ends up being one, unfortunately, we're gonna come in hot. You know, I mean, that it is what it is. But hopefully that it does not come to pass. Hopefully they take care of business. You know. But anyway, anything else to add before we get on out of here?
I just want to say thank you again to everyone that joined us in chat. And if you're listening to this on replay or playback, again, guys, you know where to find us at Laguna Galaxiana on all your socials. If you have not yet, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Put the notification bells on. Like, hype the video, do all that good stuff. Doesn't cost you anything but about 5 to 8 seconds. That's about it.
Not even,
but click. There you go. And nothing else for me because I guess there's only one thing left to say, at least on your hand.
Yeah, there's actually 2 things I have to say. You know, here we are, a week away from the Galaxy's season opening, and you guys have heard the optimism that I carry. You guys heard how much of a grump I was last year. It's a whole new thing this year. So be positive. You know, even if the worst should happen and that result in the first game isn't what the Galaxy expect, there's a second leg and there's an entire whole season to go. So keep your heads up, G's. There's only one thing left to say. Jesus.